Hello everyone, my dear students, how are you all? I hope so you all are doing well. Myself Sunil Pawar welcomes you back for the new session of the 12th class biology. As you know that we are continuing our 6th chapter, that is the molecular basis of inheritance. Okay, already we finished 2 sections of this one thing in which we earlier talk about the genetic material. Then we also talk about the DNA and RNA. Even we also learn about the central dogma of the protein biosynthesis, right. In this central dogma of protein biosynthesis, we already finished the portion that is the transcription. Right now, we are going to we are now going to discuss the genetic code, the one very important phenomenon. Clear? Just you know that the relationship between the sequences of the nucleotides on mRNA and the sequence of amino acids in the polypeptide is known as which one thing? Genetic code. Simply, what is this one thing? It is a relationship between the sequences of nucleotides on mRNA and the sequences of amino acid in the polypeptide chain. So, that is simply called as the genetic code. Clear? It is actually nothing special. It is a continuous sequence of the nucleotides on the mRNA which is coded from the DNA as a template, right. And this information is carried out to the cytoplasm for translating it in the form of a continuous series of amino acid to form or to produce a polypeptide chain, or it may be also called as the protein, right. So, these sequences when arranged in a specific manner, then they are responsible to code a specific series of amino acid which is called as the polypeptide chain. Now, in order to code for all the 20 amino acid, as you know that the minimum amino acids which are required to produce a protein is 20, clear, and the code should be made up of 3 nucleotides. It is called the triplet code. We will talk about it. Now, the new facts about this one thing, the genetic code that directs the sequence of amino acid during the synthesis of proteins. This portion is called as the translation, clear. During the transcription, DNA produces mRNA, okay, and in the translation, this mRNA carried out this information to the cytoplasm, and here with the help of ribosomal RNA and tRNA, it will produces this protein series, clear. Now, then change the nucleic acid is responsible for the change the amino acid in proteins, and it will be responsible for change the nature of the protein, which we simply call as the mutation, right. Now, George Gamow, okay, he proposed that in order to code for all the 20 amino acids, the code should be made up of 3 nucleotides, okay. This is the basic concept of codon, okay. In a codon, at least 3 nucleotides are there, okay. Now, this, what is the codon? The sequence of 3 nucleotides that corresponds to a specific amino acid or stop signal during the protein biosynthesis, clear. So, simply what is the codon? Codon is a specific triplet. Triplet means what? A group of 3, of which one? That is the nucleotides, clear, who is responsible to code a specific amino acid, right. There is also possibility of the singlet codon, doublet codon, but why we had chosen triplet codon? Because if single nitrogenous base or nucleotides will code a single amino acid, then maximum, okay, this is the possibility, maximum amino acid which can be coded by this single codon, that is the 4 amino acids, but it is not enough to synthesize a complete polypeptide chain. If you consider a doublet codon means what? A group of 2 nitrogenous bases in the form of the 2 nucleotide when coded a single amino acid, then the square of the 4 is 16. Then only the 16 amino acid will be coded by this doublet codon. Again, it is not enough for the completion of a amino acid chain for the synthesis of a protein, clear. So, that is why there is most probability of triplet codon, okay. Triplet means what? 6 cube, it means 6 6 ja 36, 4 4 ja 36, 4 4 ja 16 and 16 4 ja 64. So there is possibility of 64 amino acids are there. Okay, but later on by actual synthesis of amino acid, we finally concluded that it is not going to synthesize different 64 amino acid. It will be responsible to code it only 21 amino acid, which is more than enough of the 20 amino acids, right. So that's why now it is confirmed that codon is a specific series of 3 nitrogenous bases in a group who is responsible to code a particular amino acid, right. Then Marshall-Nirenberg, he put forward a cell-free system for protein synthesis that help disciplining the code. Okay, so Marshall-Nirenberg, he was also further along with the Dr. This one Hargobind Singh Khurana. Okay, he was also awarded with the Nobel Prize for the which one thing to synthesis a polyuracil thread, which is considered as the artificial chromosomes too. Clear? Now Hargobind Khurana, he developed a chemical method for the synthesis of RNA molecule with defined base, okay, combination, and he gave rise to the checkerboard for the genetic code. So Dr. Hargobind Singh Khurana from India is considered as the what do you say, is the author, is the basic feature he developed. He had given the basic feature about the codon and the genetic code. Clear? So here you can see a checkerboard is given there with the help of the different configuration of this 4 nitrogenous bases of the nucleotides. Okay, so here we can take the first letter, that is the UCAG, here U from the mRNA, so that's why there is no T. Okay, so UCAG, again UCAG, and here in one UCAG. So you can see that how can we form this codon, this U and first U. So here is U, then U and C. So that's why UUC. Similarly, just like here, then what is this? UCA, right? Suppose that if you want to form this one, then it is G and G. So this way we are having this 64 codon, okay, which is responsible to coded this different amino acids. Clear? So this checkerboard is able to decide the different combination of the nucleotide for making a particular codon, and this codon later on used to synthesize a specific amino acid in the laboratory. So this is the best way of considering this one. Okay, now so here we are going to consider and discuss the basic features of the genetic code. So what are the basic features of genetic code? The codon is triplet. Already we learned that what is the meaning of the triplet codon. Clear? 61 codons code for amino acid and 3 codons do not code for any amino acid. These are called as the stop codon. Later on we will discuss this. What is the stop codon? The codon who is responsible to terminate the elongation of the polypeptide chain or the amino acid chain. Okay, so these 61 codons are responsible to code the amino acid, and these 3 codons are responsible for not coding any amino acid. That's why they are responsible for breaking down the chain of amino acid. Clear? Then these codons are unambiguous and specific. That means a specific codon is responsible to coded a specific amino acid. Okay, this amino acid, if this particular codon is there, then it will be compulsory required for the production of this one. Suppose that if we are taking this CUU, okay, so this CUU, whether it is in amoeba, whether it is algae, fungi, bacteria or animals or plant, whatever or wherever, it will always be responsible to produce the leucine. Okay, suppose that this CGC is there, that is always responsible to synthesize the arginine. Okay, so that's why we call this codon as an which one thing, that is the unambiguous or it is the specific in nature. Then it is degenerate in nature, because here we can see that one amino acid can be coded by more than one codon. Okay, just like that, here it is given there, like this UUU and UUC both are responsible for coding this phenylalanine. Clear? Similarly, if you observe that this one, ACU, ACC, ACA, ACG, these all are responsible for the tyrosine. Clear? That means tyrosine can be coded by more than one codon. That's why this one is called as degenerated in nature. Then no punctuation, that means there is no spacing, there is no comma, there is no pause in reading this genetic code, because if there is any spacing between the two adjacent codon, then this series of amino acid cannot be continued in the form of the polypeptide chain. Clear? Because polypeptide bond will not synthesize. Clear? Now then the initiation, then codon is also universal. One codon for the same amino acid in almost all species will code it the same one. Okay. Then the initiation codon, specifically remember this code, that is the AUG. Okay. This triplet codon with AUG, it has a dual function. Okay. It code for the methionine and also act as the initiation codon. That means wherever the polypeptide chain is there, then it will always started with the methionine. Okay. And it is also responsible to initiate the processing of the polypeptide chain. That's why this codon is also called as the initiation codon, right? One more codon, that is called the termination codon. Okay. So there are three termination codon. It is also called as the stop codons in the genetic code, that is the UAG, UAA and UGA. This, remember the name of these three codon. It may be there for 1 mark question. Okay. Now, so this codon signal the end of the polypeptide chain during the translation, and these codons are also known as the nonsense codon or termination codons. That do not code for any amino acid. They are good for nothing. Simply you can say that. Good for nothing means what? They are there, but they are not responsible to coded any amino acid. That's why we can call them nonsense codon. Okay. And we can also call them which one thing? Terminating codon, because their presence is responsible for breaking down the continuity of the polypeptide chain or the series of amino acids. So we call them the nonsense codon or this one thing. Clear? Now then here we are going to discuss the most interesting and important fact, that is the mutation and the genetic code. Okay. Earlier in our previous chapters we talk about the mutation. We know that a sudden change in the nature of the genetic material because of change in the structure of gene or chromosome or their arrangement or their numbers will responsible to bring forward the new characteristics or the new features in that functioning or the anatomy, physiology, morphology, whatever is there. Okay. So this mutation is also done in this by this genetic code, by the manipulation of this one thing. Okay. So mutation include this three facts: insertion, deletion and the rearrangement. Okay. Insertion means what? The addition of any nitrogenous base or nucleotide. Deletion means what? Removal of any nucleotide or more than one nucleotide. Clear? And that is the rearrangement. There is the shuffling or adjustment. The nucleotides are same, but their arrangement will be different. That is called the rearrangement. Clear? So this mutation is result in the change of the phenotype, and diseases such as sickle cell anemia, you remember that one thing, where this glucine, okay, is just replaced by this valine. This is the sixth number of amino acid in the beta globin chain of that the globulin protein. Okay. Now, so here the next method is the insertion. As I told you, insertion or deletion means what? Either the addition of the new nitrogenous base or the deletion of the existing nitrogenous base. This is called as insertion or deletion. It will be responsible to shift the arrangement of this group of 3 nucleotides. Clear? And finally the frame shifting mutation, where a complete frame is shifted there, just like that. Here you can see that this 3 groups of triplet codon is responsible to code this specific series of this amino acid in this protein: tyrosine, histidine, proline, lysine and valine. Clear? Just think about it. Now what happened? The first process, that is the substitution. Substitution, here you can see that this guanosine, okay, is actually replacing which one thing? C. The actual nucleotide is C, but it is substituted by G. Okay, so on the place of CCT, now this new arrangement will have CGT, and on the basis of this proline, it is responsible to synthesize arginine. Clear? So you can see that only the substitution of single nitrogenous base or the nucleotide in this triplet codon will responsible to change the nature of this codon. This codon now will coded the different amino acid, and surely this different addition of amino acid will responsible to change the whole nature of that polypeptide chain or the protein. Clear? So this is substitution. Then here is the insertion. Insertion means what? Addition. So here on the place of C you can see this G. Okay, so this one nucleotides will shifted there. So now what is the on the place of CCT? Here you can find CGC. Now this C will shifted to the next and T will shifted to the next. So on the place of AAG, here you can see that TAA, and on the place GTA you can find GGT, and this A will shifted to the new frame. Clear? So this is the insertion. Now next one thing, that is the deletion. Deletion means what? The removal of one nitrogen nucleotide. Just like that from here, A is deleted because of any malfunctioning or any processing which we generally call the mutation. So here is no A. Then what happened? This A will replace, then what will be the next code? CTC. Okay, so you can see that CTC. So everything, here is the CTA, now AGG, then TA, and it will take the next one thing. Clear? So you can see that a whole frame will shifted. That's why this too will consider under the frame shifting. Clear? And this shifting in the frame, either because of insertion or deletion, is responsible to code a new series of amino acid. Clear? And this is considered, it is responsible to bring a new character, either phenotypic or morphological or anatomical in nature. Right? Now here we are going to discuss the most important unit, that is called as the tRNA for the process of translation. Clear? What is tRNA? Transfer RNA. Here we are considering the adaptor molecule because it is responsible for facilitating the process of protein biosynthesis. Clear? So the presence of an adaptor, okay, molecule which could read the code and would bind to specify amino acid during the translation. Clear? We learned earlier what happened. mRNA synthesized using DNA as a template, and a particular genetic code is already formed. Now in the cytoplasm, it is compulsory to have any facility to read this codon, and by reading this codon to bring that particular amino acid on this point. Clear? So here this one, then this tRNA is the adapter molecule that on one hand read the code and on other hand bind to a specific amino acid. So not only reading but also binding with the particular amino acid is also the function. Clear? So here if you observe, then here we can see that there is anticodon loop, okay, there is the D loop, there is the T loop, okay, here is the variable arm, and here is the anticodon loop. Clear? Now so here this is the structure of the transfer RNA. Here you can see that this site is, this arm is called as acceptor arm. Okay, this is the third point and this is the fifth one. Actually this RNA is not double stranded, it is single stranded, but it just folded itself. Clear? And it is responsible to form a pseudo double stranded structure, okay, which is most of free in nature, but somewhere you may find this parallel complementary nucleotides are there. Okay, so this is the third end which is free, and this is the fifth end which is responsible for the attachment of the which one thing, amino acid. So this arm is called as receiving arm, or it is called as the exceptional. Clear? Now then here is this D loop, or it is responsible for just binding of amino acid, clear. Then this loop is called as the anticodon loop. You can see that, suppose that here it is having UCA. Okay, so this UCA, what is the complementary of UCA? The complementary of U is A, C is G and A is U. So this tRNA will read this AGU code on the mRNA and fix them. Okay, then this T loop is there, who is responsible for fixing the which one thing, this specify the each amino acid, clear. And this is a variable arm which varies from one tRNA to next tRNA, and that's why you are having minimum 20 different types of tRNA, right. So this is the basic feature of tRNA. And what is the specialty of the tRNA? tRNA is responsible for transferring a particular amino acid from cytoplasm to mRNA, and here is this anticodon loop who is responsible to read the particular this nucleotide arrangement, that is in the form of the triplet codon on the mRNA, right. Now we are going to discuss the process of translation. What is the translation? Translation is nothing special. It is just the arrangement of the amino acid in a specific chain or a specific form by forming the polypeptide bond with the help of the information which brought in the form of the genetic code by mRNA from the DNA using as a template, right. So this translation is having this different steps. What is the first one? It is the process where the polypeptide chain are formed from an mRNA, right. Second one, the amino acids are polymerized, okay. That means this amino acid is attached with one another with the help of a polypeptide bond. What is the polypeptide bond? In chemistry you learn this feature. The polypeptide bond is nothing special, or peptide bond is nothing special when the two consecutive or the two adjacent amino acids attach with each other with the help of the amino group of the first one and the carboxylic group of the second one. Okay, so this bonding between these two functional group is called as the peptide bond, and when this peptide bond is responsible to continue a chain of amino acid, then it is called as the polypeptide chain. Remember this one thing, clear. Now, so at first charging of tRNA, that is the amino acylation of tRNA. What is the first process? Charging of tRNA. So addition of the first amino acid, that is called as amino acylation. Okay, it takes place, clear. And in this, amino acids are activated in the presence of ATP. The energy is consumed and are linked to their corresponding tRNA, clear. This tRNA is specific in nature, and this transferase enzyme is also specific, who is responsible to bind that particular amino acid with particular RNA, tRNA, by using this ATP phosphate bond, clear. And this energetically favors the formation of the peptide bond in between the two amino acid, right. Then translation occurs in the ribosome. Ribosome having the 270. You know that one is the 30S unit and second is the 50S unit. Okay. So a large subunit and the small subunit, clear. The smaller subunits come in contact with the mRNA to initiate the process of translation, and this is called as the initiation of the chain, okay, or the initiation of the translation. Then later on, the translation unit and mRNA is the region flanked by start codon and stop codon, clear. You know that. What is the first one? Initiation codon, and last one, that is the stop codon of the nonsense codon, clear. Then next one thing, that is the untranslated region in the on the mRNA that are not translated but are required for the efficient translation process, okay, and they are present before start codon or after codon, clear. You know that last three one or the initiation of this one thing, that is the initiation codon, these codons are just considered as the untranslated regions, clear. Now first there are basically three processes. One, there is the initiation, second is elongation, and third one, that is the termination. Okay, what is the initiation? Initiator tRNA recognize the start codon, that is the AUG on the mRNA, and is responsible to bring first tRNA on it, clear. Then the elongation, the tRNA amino acid complexes bind to their corresponding codon on the mRNA, and base pairing occurs between codon on mRNA and tRNA anticodon, clear. and this tRNA move from codon to codon on the mRNA, and amino acids are added by one. We will discuss in the next slide. Okay. Now then the termination, when a specific chain will form, that is compulsory to break it, clear, and this is called the termination, clear. So release factor, that is called the RF factor. Okay. So this release factors bind to stop codon to terminate the translation, clear. So here these two diagrams are there. This first one is responsible to exhibit the initiation of the chain, clear. You can see that this activated tRNA, here you can see that you can also call it the methionine. Okay. So this methionine is attached with this tRNA, and this tRNA having which one thing, that is the UAC anticodon site, clear. So this UAC is responsible to identify the initiation codon on the mRNA, that is the AUG, clear. So this UAC, this tRNA along with UAC will responsible to identify AUG on the mRNA, and it will attach, clear. Here you can see that first this mRNA, this, so what is the first one? That is the activation of tRNA. What is the second one? That is the union of the which one thing? mRNA and the 30S unit of ribosome, clear. So this 30S unit of ribosome is attached, and now this is called a ribosomal mRNA complex, clear. Now by using this anticodon on the tRNA will responsible to identify the AUG, that is the initiation codon on the mRNA, and will responsible to fix the first amino acid, that is the methionine. Remember, always beginning or initiation of the chain is performed with the help of this methionine, clear. Now move forward, that is the elongation. So you can also see that the larger unit of the second subunit of the which one thing, ribosome is also there, that is the 50th unit, and here is the complete formation of the mRNA, RNA and ribosome is there, clear, that is the 80th unit, clear. So now with the help of this diagram we can learn this initiation, elongation, and finally the termination. Okay. So what happened this initiation? First of all, that is the activation of tRNA, the addition of the first methionine amino acid, clear. Here it is having the anticodon, that is the UAC. It is responsible to identify this first codon, that is the AUG, clear. Now, so first of all what happened? There the small ribosomal subunit will attach with this one. Okay. Then what is the next step? This tRNA with this anticodon UAC will find out this AUG and it will attach, and then what happened? Finally this larger subunit of the ribosome will also attach here, and here this picture will completely form. So what you observe? This is the genetic code on mRNA. This is the smaller ribosomal unit, 30S unit. This is the larger subunit, 50S unit, and here you can see that this tRNA is attached with UAC with AUG, and this is the initiation of the arrangement of the amino acids. Now second is the elongation. Elongation means the addition of the new amino acid, clear. So here you can see that what happened. Here these three sites are there. Okay. This is called as the acceptor, and this is called as the releasing factor, clear. Now what happened? The next tRNA along with the new amino acid, you can call it the second amino acid, clear. The second amino acid along with this second tRNA will identify this next three nucleotide, that means the next triplet codon. Okay, and it will comes and attach here. Okay. Now what happened? By the formation of this polypeptide bond, that means the first amino acid will shifted on this second amino acid by the formation of which one thing, that is the peptide bond, clear. And now this tRNA will be free. Okay. So this unit will shifted completely by one codon, and this is called as the shifting of the ribosomal unit, clear. So it will responsible to read further amino acid, and gradually this tRNA will releases, and the same way the new tRNA with the new amino acid will come and settle down here, and it will form the new which one thing, amino acid, and this way a complete amino acid will form. So here what happened? The elongation is completed, and now what is the third one? That is the termination. Okay. So when this reaches up to the continuous series of 20 amino acid, then the next codon will be which codon? It is the terminating codon, okay, and this terminating codon like UAG, okay, which is also responsible for breaking the which one thing series of amino acid. So now here it will break, and this series of amino acid will releases out in the cytoplasm. Further it will be transformed and it will form from primary to secondary protein or the polypeptide chain, and this ribosomal unit will be free for performing the next one. So this is a complete process of translation. What are the three main steps? Remember, first one, that is the initiation, second one, that is the elongation, and what is the third one? Third one is the termination. Okay, so this is the translation. Remember this thing. Now here we are going to explain the regulation of the gene expression. Clear? You know that genes are actually regulated by the mechanism of switching off and switching on of the genes depending upon the requirement of the cells and the stage of development. You know that there are two type of gene. Okay, one that is called as the housekeeping gene. What is the housekeeping gene? The group of genes who is continuously working before birth to death. Clear? It is responsible for maintaining the steady state of the cell or the cytoplasmic activities. Clear? And second are the special genes, okay, which is not throughout the life will activated, but time to time they will activated and deactivated. So that's why they are called as switch on off genes. Okay, so remember two type of gene is there. One, there is the housekeeping gene, and second is the switch on off gene. Clear? So now, so in eukaryotes the regulation could be exerted at this three different level. What is the first level? The transcription level. Okay, you know that what is the transcription? Transcription is the formation of the mRNA by using DNA as the template. Clear? So if there is no need, then by any activity this transcription may be stopped. So no process of formation of this amino acid chain. Then second, the processing level, that is the process of splicing and the attachment is there. Clear? Then the transportation of mRNA from the nucleus to the cytoplasm, and finally the translation level where it will stop the formation of the polymerase, RNA polymerase enzyme. So that's why no formation of the mRNA, no formation of the peptide chain, and no activity will be performed there only. Clear? So the metabolic, physiological or environmental conditions that regulate the expression of gene also. Clear? So this is the regulation of gene, and basically there are the two different level of the gene combination, that is the prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Okay, so in the prokaryotic regulation of gene expression, the gene expression is regulated by controlling the rate of transcriptional initiation. That means either by blocking the initiation of the process, okay, it can be controlled. No initiation, no synthesis of enzyme, no working further. Clear? Then the activity of RNA polymerase at a given promoter is regulated by the accessory proteins, and the accessory protein affects the ability of a promoter to recognize the start sites. Clear? So if no synthesis of RNA polymerase enzyme, no further possibility of forming this new chain. Clear? Then a regulatory protein could be activator or repressor. Okay, activator, ones who activate, and repressor means what? One who repress or suppress the formation of the chain. Clear? Now the accessibility of the promoter is also affected by operators, and the operator is the region located adjacent to the promoter one. Clear? Then the operon, now the most important fact, that is the operational unit of the gene. So operon, a polycistronic structural gene, is regulated by a common promoter and the regulatory genes. Clear? And each operon has a specific operator and a specific repressor is there. Later we will talk about the structure of the operon. Clear? And usually operator binds to a repressor protein. That's why no further promotion of the RNA polymerase to synthesize the initiating or the effective enzymes are there. Okay. Now then here we are going to talk about the lactoperon. Lactoperon means simply lactose operon. That means the model of the arrangement of the structural and controller gene who is responsible to regulate and control the metabolism. Which metabolism? Lactose metabolism genetically is called as lactoperon, and it is basically given by the Jacob and Monod. Clear? So this bacteria generally prefer the glucose at the carbon source to obtain energy. So in conditions when lactose is the only source of carbon in the environment, the bacteria synthesizes the beta galactosidase enzyme that breaks down the lactose into the glucose and galactose. Clear? So if what is the source of glucose? Lactose. Then which enzyme will produce? Beta galactosidase enzyme. So by producing or blocking the synthesis of beta galactosidase enzyme, we can control the production of glucose and galactoside. Clear? Now this beta galactosidase along with which I think permease and transacetylase that require for the lactose utilization is a part of the lactoperon. Clear? This lactoperon basically consisting I gene, Z gene, Y gene and X gene. Clear? In which these three are structural and one is the inhibitor gene. Clear? And here is the inducer, that is the which one thing? Lactose. It will act as a inducer or suppressor. When it is present, then it will induces this one gene. Clear? So, and if it is absent, then it will suppress the process of metabolism. Clear? Now, so here this diagram is able to explain the structure of the operon. Okay, what is operon? Nothing is special. It is just a grouping of the which two gene? Controller gene and the structural gene. You can see that this two half is there, controller gene and structural gene. What are the controller gene? I, P and O. What is the I gene? It is a regulatory gene who is responsible to produce a regulatory protein who is binded with the operator gene. Clear? Then this P is the promoter gene who is responsible to produce the RNA polymerase for the promotion of the synthesis of the enzyme which is secreted by the structural gene. Clear? This operator gene is there who is responsible to transpasses this RNA polymerase enzyme as the information to manage this XYZ. Clear? And what is this XYZ enzyme? These three genes are there. As I told you in this one, this X gene is responsible to produce the transacetylase enzyme, Y gene is responsible to produce the permeases enzyme, and the Z gene is responsible to produce the beta galactosidase enzyme. Clear? So if these three enzymes will not form, then this lactose will not converted into the glucose and galactose. Clear? So the working of this operon will purely induces by which thing? That is the availability of the lactose sugar. Clear? So that why these genes are called as inducible gene. The system is called as inducible system. Clear? Now then here this lactoperon works with this two one, either presence or absence of the this one thing lactose sugar. When the lactose sugar is absent, then what happen? If lactose sugar is absent, there is no need of the production of the beta galactosidase enzyme for the breaking of this lactose. Okay, so what happened? If this lactose sugar is absent in this surrounding, then what happened? This operon, in this operon, this promoter gene or this regulator gene, this regulator gene will produce this which one thing? Repressor protein who is responsible to bind it with this operator gene, and this operator gene will block the transpassing of this RNA polymerase enzyme to this XYZ structural gene. So no enzyme will produce and no further metabolism will observe. So in the absence of lactose sugar, there is no metabolism or catabolism. Clear? Now in the second case, there is the presence of lactose sugar. In the presence of lactose sugar, what happened? Even though this repressor protein is regulatory protein is produced by regulatory gene, but because this which one thing inducer is present lactose, so that's why this this regulatory protein is attached with this one thing, and it is unable to combine with this operator site of the operator gene. So what happened? This promoter enzyme, with the help of this promoter gene, that RNA polymerase will easily transpasses through this one, and it is responsible to transcribe this LAC mRNA, and it is responsible to produce Beta galactosidase permease and transacetylase enzyme, which is responsible to work with the lactose and divide it into glucose and galactose. So what do you observe? Two facts are there: presence and absence of the lactose sugar. When lactose is absent, no catabolic activities. When lactose is present, it will responsible to induce the whole genetic system and responsible for the catabolism of the lactose sugar. Okay, so this all about the gene regulation, genetic code, and the general processing of the genetic control of the gene regulation. Clear? I hope so you learned it. Okay, and if you have any problem, then ask me. So I just want to express my hearty thank you for your consideration and your passion. So thank you very much and keep reading. Thank you.